A very good afternoon and welcome to Sweden. Östersund hosting round 3 of the Biathlon World Cups. Just a short journey from Holmenkollen in Oslo up to Östersund, and the conditions fairly good once again in the men's sprint, which is scheduled today. All the top runners going early. Alongside myself, Patrick Winston, Mike Dixon once again after your efforts in Oslo. Good to see the athletes out on the track again, but 1 or 2 notable absentees from today's men's sprint.
Indeed, and big names as well, with Oleana Bjørndalen deciding to go down to Ramsau and a cross-country World Cup instead.
Well, here's Frank Look with his assessment of the day. Saying once again, welcome to Östersund and the men's 10-kilometre. Says they've made a few changes to the course here in Östersund, especially with the range area. And the reason for this is because they're going to be hosting the World Championships in 2008. He says, talking about the weather, he says it's quite icy. As usual, the shooting here in Östersund is going to be difficult. There's a fair bit of wind, and that's been changing as the morning's gone on. And he's saying Sven Fischer has to be the favourite today because Oleana Bjørndalen not here. He's gone down to Ramsau in Austria to race in the cross-country. Well, that's exactly what has happened. Pick up on the conditions, Mike. +3 the air temperature.
Well, Frank did say it was warm, and that is, as this race progresses, you know, it's going to get slower because the track is going to break up. The glide factor will be less as the later starters begin. So I think very intelligent for the coaches to put their best athletes in the first group.
Doesn't always make for the best race, but that's the way it is. The top seeds all elected to go in Group 1 as we get a good aerial shot of the stadium here and a sight of the local lake, which we'll talk about later on. Let's have a quick look at the course, though. You can see the men's 10-kilometre sprint. 2 chutes, remember, first in the prone, second in the standing. The total climb only 122 metres. That is one of the easiest courses on the circuit.
It is long, gradual climbs, unlike Holmenkollen, where you had the very steep, sharp climbs. When you multiply that 3 times, so it does add up to quite a total. 366 meters. So we really are on par in total climb terms to normal 10 kilometers.
Okay, I take it back. It just seemed to me to be relatively easy compared to some of the courses that we're likely to encounter. Holmenkollen last weekend, Ruhpolding in the new year. That's always a tough one, but the hills are very different shape there, short and sharp. So the conditions pretty good. We're expecting some variable wind. A big field entered for today's 116, just 3 less than we had in the sprint event in Oslo. Lars Berger is not racing. Oleana Bjørndalen, we've already mentioned, he's headed south to Ramsau for the up-and-coming cross-country races, trying to qualify for the World Championships. And I know, Mike, you've got 1 or 2 opinions on that. British competitors today. Tom Clements is going to be the first away. Joe Brooks goes at 95. Mark Walker has got bib number 75. We'll try and keep an eye on them as the morning goes on. Australia, New Zealand also represented, but Norway, Germany, France and Russia still the top 4 nations. And the Russians have done pretty well, Mike, especially with the likes of Kruglov, the youngster, coming through and showing his colours this year.
Well, that's it. Who would have predicted at this stage of the season he is the leading Russian in the overall World Cup score? But with his, I suppose, lack of experience, will he be able to hold that all the way through till the end of March, the end of the World Cups? I don't know. He is going to be a future star, we have mentioned before. But will he have the endurance base to last out? I don't think so.
I don't think so for a season, but he's not expected to because he is so much younger than the Fischers and the Bjørndalens. But all he's got to do is achieve a couple of good races, and then his confidence will go up. He'll start to say, well, I know I can win these things. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him taking a medal at the World Championships. But that's a long, long way off. Hochfilzen in March. Well, flicking down through the order, you'll have seen that all the big names have come and gone by the time we get to number 82. Jeremy Thiele going off. The last real chance to take top 10 positions. I guess Wolfgang Perner, if he has an absolute cracker today, could do well. Petr Garabik of the Czech Republic goes number 100, Mike. He might keep the race alive.
Well, I think also we're looking there, Peter Sandel, 112. Now, he really is on thin ice in regards to his performance in the team. I know he wants to prove his worth today in this race.
And Eiderhoff going off 115. And Mickey Grice of Germany is going to be the first away, a man who's showed so much promise in the past, but just finding it tough to break into the top 10. And part of the reason, Mike, is that all the old stars are hanging around so much longer now. You know, Fischer on the circuit in 1993 winning races. He's winning races still this year, and it's so difficult for the youngsters to come through.
It is, and it's a sport of a huge amount of experience. You've been through that situation, squeezing the trigger under pressure, and that is why the older athletes, another one, Bridges here, he's been on the World Cup Tour for, what, 10 years now?
So Brickis just starting his 10,000-metre challenge. No opportunity to take it easy in the start, although that looks like a pretty conservative start from the man from Riga. And I think you've got to attack from the very beginning now, and the pacing all comes when you come into the range. That's where you've got to decide what your tactics are. Do you come in fast, take the risks, or do you just let the pulse come down and take it easy? We'll see what the leading athletes do. We'll pick up on them in 5 or 6 minutes' time. Timo Anttila, the Coast Guard from Finland, never made the top 10. And the Finns, really over the last 5 years, Mike, have been a bit disappointing.
They have. Purunen this summer has gone away and worked again at his shooting speed, which placed him well last week. So there is an energy for further improvement and making things happen. So hopefully the Finns get it together.
Well, here's a man that the Norwegians are very excited about. Alexander Aas from Tromsø. And already this season he's shown us what he's capable of. A beautiful skier. Skis very like the likes of Andersen and Lars Berger. Beautiful flowing movement. But he said himself when we met him in Oslo, it's just a question of time. He needs to build up the experience before he's going to put in consistent results. But I think he's made enough of an impression already.
He has, but as you say, it takes time. He's not comfortable with coming into the range under pressure and controlling his nerves. It's a big issue. You have to go through that experience many times. Some of the young guys can do it. The young Germans, been pushed hard from 10-year-old. They are used to it even by the age of 20.
A good look at the equipment being used currently. The bindings and the boots are very much stiffer than they were 20 years ago. Not much advance has been made.
Race, there's in the men's race especially, there's probably, as you say, top 25, 30 athletes that could win with the perfect shoot, but that means some of the other athletes have to miss in order for you, the 25th fastest effectively, to win this race.
Sergei Roshkov just making his way to the start, wearing 16 as Chenyi Zhang. And the Chinese, I think we might see great things from them in the next 2 or 3 years. They've shown signs this year that their ski speed is now closer to the top. They're in the second league as opposed to the third league, and their shooting is inconsistent, but they can do it well. So they now have the potential to produce World Cup points-winning results.
What's amazing me with the Chinese is the women are much better in relation to the women's field than the best men. I can't understand why that is, because they are training in the same place in the summer. They have similar programs, but the women definitely are cutting it at the sharp end.
Well, you could say that the standard in the women's isn't as high as the men's. I think there would be one or two people who would disagree with that. And you're looking nervous as I say it. But the competition in the women's isn't quite as tough as it is in the men's. You don't have 40 women who can win, whereas you do have 40 men who could win.
I totally agree with you there. There are 8 to 10 women who are consistently the fastest skiers and are outshining the rest. Maybe there's 20, 30 female biathletes that can win on their given best day, but it is more than that in the men's.
Thomas Sikora already on the tracks as Sven Fischer just clears the snow out of the front of the boot, and that's always an indication that the temperatures are warm, because as you step on the snow it freezes in the binding. Now Tom Clements, another early start for Tom, and he's skiing okay. There's no doubt that his skiing has come on in the last couple of years, but the shooting has not been good in the standing position, Mike. And if he wants to put in a good result, he's got to shoot 10 out of 10. There's no question. His skiing isn't good enough to afford him a mistake.
Indeed, if Tom wants to qualify for the Olympics next year, and all the British team can do that this year by getting under 10%, as you say, he has to shoot clear.
So here comes the young Norwegian from a town that is known as the Paris of the North, Tromsø. Superb place, absolutely fantastic, that northern part of Norway, summer and winter, but particularly in June, July, 24 hours of daylight, no end of things to get up to. And Oss has come through just 4 seconds off the lead. That's a good start.
Looks very slow, doesn't he? But it is a steep hill. He's climbed there for the previous minute and a half, and that's why he looks as if he's taking it easy, but it's just efficiency.
Matthias Simon, who had a good weekend's racing last week in Oslo, and hopefully he can bring that form over to Östersund. We'll have to wait and find out, but his one advantage is he has perhaps the best biathlete on form at the moment, certainly in this field, with Bjorn Dahlen away, Sven Fischer behind him, and Simon is going to get caught by Fischer at maybe the 5k marker, and then he's got an opportunity to try and stay with the German.
And that will be Simon's tactic, to stay at all costs if he can with Sven Fischer. But the Swiss team are coming up big time. They've got a renewed energy, they've got self-belief, which can go a long, long way in this sport.
Number 16, Sergei Rozhkov of Russia, 9th in the World Cup standings at the moment. Sergei, he's certainly better than that. He can get himself in the top 5. A very exciting biathlete indeed, but just doesn't have that extra 1% of ski speed that means we see him in the top 3 as frequently as we do the Fischers, Bjorn Dahlens and Poirets. Now here is Sven Fischer. Mike, his form absolutely phenomenal. We've said it many times that he's won a World Cup every season since 1993, but he hasn't started like this since 96-97 when he won the overall World Cup. So the question is he going to win it this year? Do you think he's got the sort of form that can last all season?
I do, Patrick. Just listening to him on Sunday after he won the pursuit race, he's got confidence, he's got his self-belief is back, and he's not too phased about it. He's saying, oh yeah, well, I've trained harder, I've reshaped the summer months, and it's come good. I feel good about it, I don't feel tired, and he said I don't feel under pressure. So that's a great feeling at this time of year.
Well, from Sven Fischer we go to his teammate Mickey Greiss, a slightly younger German. Sven Fischer, surprisingly, only 33, he's been around for over a decade. He's still maybe got a couple of years in him at this sort of level. Now, Mickey Greiss, the first to shoot. You can see the wind has picked up recently. I guess that's one disadvantage of using big blinders, is you don't see what the flags are doing.
Doesn't come much better than that for your first 5 shots.
The little yellow dot on your screen indicating where the wind would put the round if you were central, if you were going to get a 10, and you can see from that it was right on that right hand side, and so Greiss had got the sighting absolutely perfect. Good information being passed around for the German team. They've got a big squad. Now Can Hernando of Spain do the same? Well, 4 out of 5 for Brisis. What do you make of that?
Well,
third shot is unusual.
He's not fired up for this season yet. I spoke to him after the 10-kilometre last Saturday in Oslo, and he was just saying, well, we haven't been on snow long, the budget isn't great this year, so he hasn't really felt the confidence, and even his speed is not near its best yet. So hopefully for Latvia it'll be better after Christmas. Looks awkward when a left-hander, Oss, comes in to shoot, but he's well drilled.
Now, would you, if you were coaching a left-hander, Mike, would you encourage him to switch to right as you were, or would you go with the left-handed?
It's an interesting point, and I was talking to Alexander about that. I said, well, was it never suggested that you should change to the right hand, to shooting right-handed? And he said, absolutely not. This is the way he shoots. It's his strongest eye, and he would never dream of it. And it's working today for him pretty well.
Well, that's a good start from Alexander Oss. Mickey Grice has gone out in 9:17. He was 4 seconds behind Grice at the first split time, and he's lost a little bit more time, but that's a very solid start. And if Alexander Oss can put in a good shoot as well, I think we're going to see him in the top 30 today, certainly, maybe even a top 15 if he can pick the pace up over the closing stages. And with the likes of Berger and Bjorndalen missing from the Norwegian team, Mike, it's an opportunity for some of the new Norwegians to come through. And Oss, certainly, I think he would have got a place anyway. But looking further down the start list, the likes of Bjornstad and Roning in particular, who goes number 98, a real opportunity for them to show the coaches what they can do at World Cup level.
I think that's a huge aspect. The Norwegian management is fantastic. They are not frightened to bring in new and inexperienced athletes, because this is them gaining that World Cup experience, which is so badly needed to build confidence.
So from the Norwegians to the Czech Republic, Thomas Hollebets just settling for his first shoot. We'll try and keep you informed as to how he gets on, but want to first pick up on Rojkov's progress as he comes up to the 1.4 kilometre marker, almost exactly the same speed as Alexander Oss, 3.8 outside the lead. That's a good enough start from Rojkov, and do remember that the best conditions, we suspect, are going to be in the first half hour of this race. Now here's the man that we really are interested in, that all-powerful skate 2 technique. Not the most elegant, and he doesn't seem to balance as well or for as long on the ski as the Scandinavians, but Sven Fischer, all power, and he's come through 4:32, 2 seconds off the lead. For him, that's a slightly slower start than we were expecting.
It is indeed. I thought with his, as you mentioned, his phenomenal power, I thought he would be taking 5 seconds away from Mickey Grice. But I think psychologically, Grice got the start number 1. He's out there first, and he may have set off just a little bit too fast.
Well, here's a man who may go inside Grice's time, Nikolai Krugloff, still relatively inexperienced as far as biathlon goes, but certainly the likes of Fischer and Bjorndalen in post-race interviews saying that he is the man that they fear. They think that Krugloff is going to be the star of next year and the year after. He just needs another season to mature. So if you're a betting man, maybe it's worth a few pennies on him taking a medal at Torino 2006.
And talking of mature, Rashenkov is at the age of 38 now, and 15 years of international competition, and there he's showing that it's skill, it's experience.
Well,
sorry, he started well up in Beitestolen, but then his form dropped off throughout the whole of Holmenkollen last week. Let's hope we can come back to some good form again.
Now, Thomas Sikora. The Poles have certainly been picking up performances in a number of winter sports. Ski jumping we know all about, and also in the cross-country they're starting to produce some good results, and of course delighted to get on the podium in Holmenkollen last week. So I think we could see something special from them, but they don't have enough members in the team at that sort of level to be a threat in the relays. But individual medals are certainly a possibility at the up-and-coming World Championships. Sakura, I guess, the best of those. 13.5 outside after the first shoot, but it's solid enough. He could well be a contender at the end of the day.
You can just see how wet the snow is, Patrick. It's going to get more and more soggy as the race goes on. +3 degrees, so there's a lot of water within the snow.
What about the global warming, Mike? We've seen over the years a few problems at various stadiums and resorts. They've managed to get enough snow together, but most of it's artificial snow. They've trucked some in from the local hills as well. But can these World Cup venues afford to go on spending thousands and thousands of, whether it's krona or euros, just to get a race underway? Or are we going to have to rethink the whole scheduling process and say, well, we've got to be in Russia at this time of year, and we can only afford to go to Europe in February when their best chance of having snow is?
I suppose it's a valid point, because there was Oslo last week. They had to bring in snow. Östersund, middle Sweden, you would expect snow this time of year. It's expensive, it really is. Maybe Siberia will be the biathlon centre for the future races, 15, 20 years down the line. Who knows?
Well, maybe we should switch to summer biathlon and start that early. I hear you're trying to get a club underway in Aviemore. How's that progressing?
Yes, a lot of interest from many different age groups, especially the school kids, 10-year and older. So there's a huge amount of interest, and we'll be open for training very, very soon.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that as we just tune in on Sergei Roshkov, leading the way after the first shoot. Mickey Grice still with a time of 9:17. Alexander Oss still in second place, and Sergei Roshkov could join the leaders. 9:04. He's cleared all 5. Very good shoot, and the Russians are one team that have made a significant improvement this year. Now, Germany, all eyes on Sven Fischer, looking for win number 4 of the season. Can you believe it? Still only second in the World Cup standings, though, to Ole Einar Bjorndalen. But Bjorndalen not here today. Oh. Well, there is a man oozing with confidence. He's going to be slightly behind Sergei Roshkov, I think, at 9:14.5. But Fischer, that was just so smooth, silky smooth with the rifle. The timing in between each shot was exactly the same. The rhythm was perfect. That was just how to do it.
It's magical when your form, and as Sven said on Sunday, his form, he's just happy, he's comfortable, he enjoys his racing. And it just speaks volumes. When you've got that good and positive attitude, it all flows easy. Instead of fighting hard and trying to make it work, he just lets it happen naturally. And 5 with 5, and leading the race at this time.
Well, here was the man who was leading at the first split time out of the range, Mickey Grice, who's gone clear on the prone. And this is his opportunity to put pressure on, obviously, all the other athletes, but in particular the rest of his German teammates, because the competition in the German team absolutely ferocious.
Just a point, Patrick, it's lucky it's not a windy day. If you look at the size of the carrying harness on Mickey Grice's rifle, when it's windy, that really does pick up and move more than a thinner harness.
Well, he's gone for the comfort option, but maybe, possibly, he's got two harnesses, and when it's really windy, he goes for the thin one. We'll have to wait and see. We haven't asked him. We'll see if we can do that.
But in the reshaping of the range, as Frank Luck said in his interview, they've spent a lot of money to rejig, rework the range. They have built the sidewalls up higher and the back end of the range, so there is less wind influence here today. You can see the flags, it's still windy, but the range is much more sheltered than it used to be.
So out comes Mickey Grice. He's paid his penalty for that one missed shot, and that has cost him an extra 150 metres. Now, Mike, the sprint event, just for those who aren't familiar with it, 10 kilometres the distance, 2 shoots, and the significance of each shot not quite as important as it is, say, in the individual, which is the 20-kilometre race.
Yeah, slightly. I believe got some percentages there. Yes, it's a 1.5% punishment, if you like, by missing one target, which does allow the faster skiers to come through. So like Frode Andersen could miss 2 targets today on great form. It is still possible he could win. Unlikely, but he could because of a fantastic ski speed.
Alexander Oss misses his first standing, just like Mickey Grice. But now seems to be on target. 4 out of 5 for Alexander Oss, and he's picked up a little bit. I think he's still got that 150 meters to do for his penalty, but he's going to be right on the heels of Mickey Grice. Carl-Johan Bergman, the best of the Swedes so far this year, he goes away 5 out of 5, and the time is good. He's just 2 seconds or so down on Sven Fischer, so expect a time of around 9:17. A lot of it depends on where he was in the range relative to Sven Fischer. A little further down, 2 seconds exactly, and 9:19.3. A very promising start from Bergman, but the standing is certainly the highest hurdle that he's got to cross today, and I think it may come unstuck, especially with the home pressure.
Quite likely, but we did see fantastic form off Bergman at the weekend, so his confidence must be high. The home crowd aspect is always an issue. We've seen that in so many countries where the home athletes are expected to do well.
Rico Gross has just gone through. Sergei Roshkov now coming up to the 4.7 split time. Mickey Grice at 13:46. I think Roshkov is going to be inside that. Just look at, there he is, wearing bib 16, the time ticking away, and Roshkov's going to be just inside. He's got the fastest time, 13:39.
Now that's Tom Clements. I'll just check to see how he's getting on. Oh, in fact, after his first prone, Tom Clements has missed 2, and he's 1 minute 32 off the fastest after 3.3 Ks.
So take away the 50 seconds or so penalty, and you've got a 42-second deficit in 4.7 K. Skiing's average, I mean, his skiing's still not quite as quick as he'd like it, but those 2 penalties in the prone it's unforgivable, because he knows he has to make sure of them. Sven Fischer goes through 13:45, 5 seconds down off the leaders. That's interesting. If Roshkov can go clear, he's going to have a chance to beat the great Sven Fischer, but I have a feeling that Sven may save something in the tank for the last leg.
Oh, and just like we saw the last leg of the pursuit on Sunday, Sven Fischer was so dynamic. He has a lot of power when he feels he can win a race. But yeah, I think he could pick up 5 seconds off Roshkov, but he has to shoot clear.
But the other thing is, Mike, that he can't go on producing those sort of performances week in, week out. It's all very well to win a World Cup, but an easy win is so much better than a hard one like he had on Sunday.
Indeed, he had to fight up start number 1 minute 35 behind. He had to fight all the way to win the race, moving up from 10th to 1st.
From Belarus.
Oh, first target.
Well, he's totally unsettled now, and I'm afraid Reshenkov's chances of winning have gone. 3 misses. It can go from being brilliant to being sub-mediocre in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds. It's a cruel sport, but this is what all the training is about, coping with the pressure situation, and it's always the standing, the last shoot. Your legs are tired, your lungs are pumping, and you've got the harder of the 2 shots to contend with. So this is where the mistakes are all going to come.
Absolutely, and you could see Reshenko fighting it. He broke his position and didn't get back. He didn't hold his mind on. Sikora, once again, that's another clear shoot. Maybe not quite the ski speed for Sikora, but brilliant shooting.
Well, we'll pick up on his position as he comes out. Sikora could well take the lead after the second shoot. Grice still with a time of 18:56, but 1 penalty. And Sikora's gone ahead by 5 seconds, 18:51. He shot clear. That's going to be a tough race there, Mike. Just 5 seconds between them, but Grice and Oss travelling considerably faster than Sikora over the early stages.
And from Latvia, good to see Britches after the second shoot. He's up in 4th, only 9.6 seconds behind the man who said last week that he wasn't on form.
Well, Sergei Chepikov is a man who's been on form on and off over the last 15 years. He's furthest from us, just alongside a Swedish competitor. Just trying to work out exactly who that is. Can't believe it's Nielsen. He should have been long gone out of the range. Chepikov 5 with 5, very quick indeed, and he's going to be maybe 10-15 seconds off the pace. Bergman's gone out 9:19. Good start from Carl-Johan Bergman. And Chepikov's time, check it out, 9:27.9. And he's 10 seconds or so down off the leaders. That's quite a margin to make up. You'll recognise Hannavold just leaving the stadium. Very distinct technique that he has. Never seems to get his feet within a metre of each other. Quite how he doesn't get a massive lactate build-up in the thighs, I don't know. But it works for him, and I guess that's a good enough excuse for continuing with the style that he uses. Now, the winner of the World Cup last year, very much the golden boy of 2004, Raphael Poré, third in the World Cup standings at the moment. But I think the significant statistic, if you're into statistics, is the fact that in the 5 races we've had this year, he hasn't been out of the top 5.
Oh, he is Mr. Consistent, but he got a little bit of bad press on Sunday. He didn't turn up for his press conference, and some of the Norwegian press were saying, well, why not? Smirnov was making excuses that his wife and baby were waiting in the car to drive home. Disaster for Sven Fischer. How from such good form to missing 3.
Well, suddenly it's all gone pear-shaped for Fischer, just as it did for Bjorndalen last Sunday. Your form is only temporary in this game. It's very tough indeed. Well, he's still fighting, which is interesting, Mike. He's got an extra 450 metres to ski now. He's going to be on that penalty loop for the next minute and 10 seconds at the very least. And Fischer knows his chances of winning are gone, but he's got to keep producing a good result, because it's all about World Cup points. It's all about the whole season, not just one race.
Isn't it strange how he threw those 3 shots away? We were just saying how positive he was feeling for the pro and how positive he is about his race. But 3 major errors there will certainly cost him. Unlikely he'll make top 15, even top 20, Sven Fischer.
Well, that's given the French a much bigger chance of winning here in Östersund, because Raphael Poré has gone through the first chute. We saw him go clear, but I can tell you that his time of 9:06 is 8 seconds inside that set by second place Rojkov of Russia. Stian Ekhoff of Norway is in third place with a clear chute 10 seconds down. And looking for any of the other French positions, Mike, we know their shooting's good. I think Raphael, the only one in the top sort of 30 at the moment. Well, as we speak about the French, here comes, I think we can call Vincent Defrane their number 2.
Yeah, Defrane has had a brilliant start to his season. A couple of 4th places.
He's been shooting exceptionally well, which probably means he's going to miss, but he really has looked impressive. 5th in the World Cup standings, having his best season so far. Well, that's good stuff.
It's a great start for a slightly later starter, but it's not putting him off. Start number 39, Defrane.
And he's not going to be too far outside the top 3 places, if outside it at all. I think he's going to go ahead of Sergei Rojkov. Yes, he does. Defrane goes into second, so it's France 1 and 2. Now, Thomas Sikora has gone clear. Remember, he was 5 seconds ahead of Grice when he left the range. He's picked the pace up, Mike, despite the fact that he was very much slower over the first 2 loops. It looks as though Sikora has paced this one very well indeed. Alexander Oss coming in to finish 27.04. He's not going to beat that, but it's still a good run from Oss. And, well, I think he'll be happy with that. And he'll go through that inevitable calculation of, if I'd shot clear, where would I be? And I think he'll find that he's skiing well enough to finish in the top 10. Interesting rifle for Bergman of Sweden, clear on the prone.
could be a great day for Swedish biathlon with one shot to go.
Oh, it's down. It was very close indeed. It sounded as though that clipped the outside of the target, but it's gone down. That's what matters. And Bergman is in contention. 18:21 Rojkov's time. He's got another 30 meters or so to go before the clock is going to stop at the split time, but he's going to be well inside Thomas Sikura's time of 18:51. 20 seconds inside that and 10 seconds off the lead. That's a target that he can chase. 10 seconds over 3,300 meters. It sounds relatively easy, but my goodness, Rojkov was moving when he set off, so I think Bergman's got his work cut out there.
Well, but he has his home crowd now. The shooting's over, so Bergman can do great justice to Swedish biathlon. As we pick up on his teammate, Nilsson.
Well, you can just feel for him, can't you? You hold your breath as he's waiting for that last shot, and it's not long before the body starts screaming for oxygen, and inevitably you make mistakes. So 3 misses for Nilsson of Sweden. Egil Kjelland, he's a man with huge potential. I don't think he's quite fulfilled what we're expecting of him, and possibly because he's been under the umbrella, the successful umbrella of Oleana Bjorndalen.
Indeed, it's a big shadow to perform all your career underneath your teammate, who is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, tough one to live with. Kjelland, though, normally he hits more prone, more lying down targets than he does standing, but one penalty there in his first visit to the range.
Good shot of the local lake, the Storsjön as it's called, the Great Lake. But 293 miles long. It's the biggest piece of water in Sweden, and apparently has its own equivalent of the Loch Ness Monster, but we haven't seen it, and I don't think anyone else has, to be honest. But it is there, I'm assured. Now, Raphael Poré, that was a replay of his prone shoot. We know he was clear in prone and still leading the way after the first shoot. We're expecting Poiré to come in any minute now for his second standing shoot. Could be a deciding moment of this sprint event in Östersund. All the action happening in the first 50 starters. There's only one man ranked in the top 20 of the world who started outside the top 50, and that was Ivan Sherezov of Russia. So we'll keep our eyes on him. Thomas Sikura, 10 out of 10 for the day, and a good finish to come in 26.54. He's taken 5 seconds off Mickey Grice on that last loop, and that's impressive, Mike.
That's very impressive indeed. When Sikura has been saying his form, he doesn't feel very strong out there by his standards on the skis, so well done, good effort there today for Poland and Sikura. Doesn't even look out of breath, you know. That's an indication. It is quite an easy finish into the profile as you come down to the finish line, but I expected him to be on his knees after an effort like that.
Well, don't be surprised to see him at the top. Of course, he took a world title back in 1995, the individual he won at the World Championships that year. So he's got the quality. It's just a question of whether he can produce it on the day. Vincent Leprat coming through for the French. He was in second position after the first shoot, and 13.45. He's 16 seconds off the lead. Fischer 13.45.0, but we know Fischer has missed 3 in the standing. As catch up with Andreas Bernbacher. Ski time is slow compared to the Poirés and Fischers of this world, and that last shot has cost him dearly. 25 seconds extra on the time. He's going to be coming out in over 10 minutes, and that is going to see him outside the top 30.
Just looking back, Patrick, after the first shoot, great to see America and Jay Hacken up in 5th, Jay Hakkinen, and also Canada, Robin Clegg.
That's great stuff.
That's only 14 seconds behind in 10th place, so great to see. And Tobrelutz once again in 16th for Estonia, so some of the smaller nations are coming through.
Well, Jay Hakkinen wearing bib number 42 today. He's got hit 5 standing targets, and then he's got a chance as Rojkov comes in 26.23. What a phenomenal finish. He has really turned up the pace. 31.3 seconds inside Sikura's time, and Rojkov has set quite a tough target. Hannevold leading the range for the first time. alongside Chepikov, and Hannibal's time of 9:12, Mike, is competitive, but I just don't think he's got the sort of form that's going to win a World Cup at the moment. He's got in 6th, just a fraction of a second behind Jay Häkkinen. And Häkkinen, in fact, producing a very good run in Holmenkollen as well, getting in the top 20 there. And he's enjoying the sprints. I don't think Häkkinen enjoys the individual race as much.
No, Häkkinen has more self-belief in the sprint, 2 times shooting, 1 lying, 1 standing. How's Rico getting on? Rico Gross there, 33.
Well, he wasn't skiing too well initially, but he shot perfectly today, which is one of his trademarks. A man who's got 25 major medals to his name, the majority of those coming in relays, but he's been one of the most successful ever as far as major championships go. And, of course, taking 2 golds in Oberhof last year. Now, Poiré with a mistake, Mike. That opens it up for the rest of the field. Off he goes on the penalty loop. 18:21, the time of Rojkov. And Poiré has got another 75 metres to go. He's going to be fractionally behind Rojkov. We've got a ski race on our hands. How good was that finish from Rojkov?
Quite unbelievable. He took time out of Shikora on the last 3 Ks. But if Poiré goes out 10 seconds behind, I think Poiré can take it.
Now Fischer coming in, he's just going to come in ahead of Zhang of China. That would have been an embarrassment for him, but he survived this time. Zhang in 7th place, 27.39. But remember, Fischer missing 3 targets, so an extra 450 metres skied. That's 4.5% added to the race distance. And even the great man can't compete with that sort of disadvantage.
Too much. And I think with Fischer being 1 minute 12 seconds behind, he will be hard pressed to make the top 20, top 23. But we'll have to wait and see how the conditions are going to change. If this wet snow is going to make it more difficult for the tail end starters.
Stian Eckhoff putting in a good challenge. Mike Rojkov's time of 22.51 has been beaten, and Eckhoff is absolutely flying. We'll try and pick up on his time as he left the range. He's 4.4 ahead with just over a kilometre to go. He was 2.6 down, so he's taken 6 seconds off Rojkov in the space of 1.7 kilometres. If he can do it, then what can Poiré take off him? Because Poiré has come out of the range with his penalty. He's 10 seconds down off the lead.
Well, I said if he's 10 seconds, he could make 10 seconds up, but now he's also got Eckhoff to contend with for the top position on the podium.
Well, we will catch up, I hope, on Poiré when he goes through 8 kilometres. Vincent Defra making his first and second mistake.
Well, like Sven Fischer missed 3, Defra has missed 2, a bit of a meltdown. Concentration problem. It's not windy, it's not blowing them over. But that's why biathlon is so difficult. One day you can make it so good, the next day mistakes come into your game. Well, Bergman isn't going to take first position. It's very respectable though.
26.42, he's just outside Rojkov's time. Good run from Bergman. I think he'll be absolutely delighted with that. Gets the skis off very rapidly. And the Madshus obviously running well for him today. That first prone shoot was very impressive. Now, big moment for the United States. Here comes Jay Häkkinen, former junior world sprint champion. Hasn't really shown that sort of form at any stage in the senior level, although he has produced top 10 results. He wants a win, just like every American. It's all about winning. And this is probably the best chance that Häkkinen has had for a while. And it's gone. Well, 4 out of 5 is good by club standards, but at World Cup level now we have seen that you have to hit all 10 if you want to win a sprint, unless your name is Bjorn Dahlen or Poiré. Häkkinen has gone out, 1 mistake on the day, 18.19 on the clock. He's got a penalty loop, so he's going to come out at around 18.50, which Mike will put him outside the top 5 certainly, but it's still an impressive result and one that he can build on in the pursuit.
Well, and as we saw him going left onto the penalty loop, had Had he skied straight on, he would have been third place, and he will certainly analyse that tonight and maybe build some hope from actually seeing what could have been.
Well, that's one thing the Americans are very good at doing, is looking for the positive in any result, and certainly Häkkinen will do that. Rojkov, though, still holds on to the lead after the second shoot. We know that at the last split time at 8 kilometres that Stian Ekhoff has the lead, 22.46. Rico Gross going through the same point, and he's gone into 5th. He's 44 seconds down, despite the fact, Mike, that he's gone clear. So Rico is a long, long way off his best.
Well, I'm just wondering if there's an issue here with skis, because it is a more difficult day to wax today, and we only get 2 or 3 days a season where it's as warm as this.
Ekhoff just coming in. Sorry, we were a bit slow to pick up on that. The race leader at 8 kilometres has crossed the line. He's taken a further 5 seconds off Rojkov and has got a lead of 11 seconds now. Pereira's come through in 3rd place, 4 seconds down on Rojkov, so he's made up 1 second on Rojkov. In fact, he's made 6 seconds up on Rojkov, but he's not making any ground on Stian Ekhoff, and I think the Norwegian is going to hold the Frenchman off.
I think he is, actually, when you look at the split times out there on the track. And the Norwegians, we heard last week they were testing 150 pairs of skis. If they've been out testing here in Östersund, which they have been since arriving on Tuesday, then we can assume they've got very good skis underneath their feet. And the profile down to the finish for Ekhoff is generally flat and downhill. So will Poirier be able to catch Ekhoff? I don't think so.
Frode Andersen, are we going to see...
Oh, it's fast.
Well, it's becoming a more frequent occurrence to see him shoot clear in the prone. He's certainly tidied that up. He's got a very high stance in the prone, which always makes me feel nervous, but he's gone 5 with 5. Andersen is quick, 9.06 the time set by Raphael Poirier at this stage. Andersen is going to join him. Very good indeed. He's into 2nd place, just 1 second outside the best. Here comes Nikolai Kruglov. It's not been another good day for him. That's a shame. 2-1. He's 28.20, down in 16th place. And I'm afraid starting as early on as 27th. Well, I think that's a sign that, 1, it's icy, which we know, and 2, that he's absolutely shattered. He's given it everything to try and claw back up the order, looking for a better start in the pursuit.
Well, he skied right through the finish line and into the icy man-made snow that's in the holding pen, and it certainly caught him out there. Landed quite heavily on his hip there.
So here are the standings at the finish. We're still waiting for Raphael Poirier to come in. He's gone through with just 1 penalty. Ekhoff, though, leads 26.12, the time they are now chasing. Rojkov, a good finish, but it's only good for 2nd at the moment. Carl-Johan Bergman, delighted to see the home team, Sweden, getting a good result. He could be pushed outside the top 5, but I think his presence at the start of the pursuit event is going to draw in the crowds, and that's really what we need here in Östersund. It doesn't have the same feel as places like Oslo.
Well, and last Saturday after the 10-kilometre, Oslo held its club championship race. All the clubs from around Norway came down to Oslo immediately after the World Cup race, and they raced. And incredibly, the leading woman and the leading girl and boy were both from the tiny little club from Ole Einar's hometown, Bjørn Dahlen's hometown.
You've forgotten what it's called.
It begins with S.
It's Simonsstrand.
That's the one.
Well, that's the effect of having the Olympic and world champion as one of the locals. It has a knock-on effect. And I guess that's what we need in Britain now, Mike, is someone at the top of the game to attract others and draw other people through. Rico Gross of Germany just finishing, and not a result that he's going to remember for long, but he's gone clear, and so they'll enjoy the fact that his shooting is on form. Halvard Hannevold. Clear again. And the time is okay, Mike. He's 10-15 seconds down. Is this Poirier coming in? 26.25. Unable to do anything about Rojkov's time. Well, he's taken a bit of a tumble as well. But he's all right. I think...
Well, the snow's catching them out. It's wet as they come up to the line, and then because this hasn't been skied on, they're going right into ice, soft and then into ice, and that's why Poirier fell there.
Well, he's into 3rd, Mike. Very useful World Cup points to pick up while Bjørn Dahlen is away. And if you look at Poirier's results, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's consistency. And he believes the #1 title to win is the overall World Cup. Olympics and World Championships, great. That's what gets you your sponsors and the press, media attention. But the overall World Cup is what all biathletes accept as the #1 prize.
It is, but it does make me wonder why. Well, I know his reasons, but I wonder why Ole Einar Bjørndalen doesn't put more importance on trying to lead, to win the overall World Cup best biathlete each season. He goes away, he does cross-country races, he is looking at his altitude training after that, but so far ahead at this early stage, Bjørndalen, and he hasn't even turned up to compete.
Well, I think there are two factors. One is that however good he is at biathlon, cross-country is still the biggest sport in Norway. And that is the one where you want to win a gold medal at the cross-country World Championships, which is what he's attempting to do. And the second is that he's won just about everything in biathlon. Why doesn't he go for something else? He wants a little bit of variety. You've got to keep producing incentives. You've got to have something that you're driving at. You know as well as anyone that you have to have a goal. And I think that's what's kept him buzzing. You know, that's what keeps him out training all day, every day.
That's a valid point, and he does think differently, Bjørndalen. That is why he is so great, and maybe that changes what he needs.
Jonas Osbolt, all went wrong at the start of the day for Osbolt with 3 misses on the prone. Hasn't gone wrong so far for Frode Andersen. Watch the ski time. He was just fractionally off the lead at the first split time as they came down, and he's gone down as well. Now, who was at fault there, Mike?
I didn't quite see. I think his ski caught the timing post on the right-hand side, but in my 12 years of racing on the same tracks as Frode, I don't ever know of him having fallen before. Well, of course, it wasn't because of the speed on a downhill, it was the uphill, and I think it was the timing gate.
I think you might be right. We'll get a slow-mo, no doubt. He went down very quick indeed. It was just like when you plant the pole in between your legs, because it trips you up like a tap tackle in rugby. You go down with no resistance, and I think it's cost him 5 seconds or so in time, but it will have pushed the pulse rate right up. It's sort of disrupted his thought process, which for Andersen may be a good thing when it comes into the standing. He'll have other things on his mind.
Well, and Andersen is only 4.2 seconds, and as you say, if he lost 5 seconds in that fall, he could be leading right now.
Vincent Defrant, 2 misses in the standing. Very expensive indeed. A time that would have been around 23 seconds off the lead. That would have seen him into the top 5 or 6. But Defrant has made the mistakes, and it's not going to be a top 10. But he's still close enough to the front for the pursuit. I think we'll see him coming up through the order, which is what the French are so good at doing.
Just thinking, Patrick, everyone is looking more fatigued for me than or less energetic than they were in Oslo, and just working it out, this is the 7th race in 15 days, so it does affect you, it does affect your performance.
Bakarov coming in, Jay Häkkinen alongside him wearing 42. What has Häkkinen managed to do? He's gone ahead of Sikora. Great run from Häkkinen, 26.49. The best performance we've seen from him this year. It would have been so much better had he hit that last shot, but 36.9 seconds outside. He would have been in 2nd place if he'd gone clear. Hasn't happened, but I think Häkkinen can give himself a pat on the back. That's just what the United States need, and they need Jeremy Thiele to raise the level as well. 2 years ago we thought Thiele was going to be the #1, but something's gone wrong this year.
Indeed, but well done, Häkkinen. As you say, I'm delighted to see that as well. America up in 5th position at the moment, and he's a fantastic guy, is Jay Häkkinen. He's modest, doesn't get overexcited. Typical biathlete, you don't want to get overexcited about too much, or you'll start missing
all
targets.
Great guys, of course, yeah. Now, Hannibal, what's he up to? 23.05, 19 seconds down off the lead. He's losing a bit of time to the fastest, Sten Eckhoff, but Hannibal, Kjelland, Eckhoff all putting in good runs, making up for the absence of the great Ole Einar Bjørndalen, and of course Lars Berger, who's also away racing in the cross-country. I don't think Lars was on his best form last weekend. He's had a bit of a throat infection, and he took a risk racing in Oslo, but he made his decision on the temperature. Had it been -5, he wouldn't have raced, but as it was +5, he said, well, the chances of damaging the lungs and the throat further are minimal, and that's why he had a run out.
And it was quite funny to hear him say after the race that it was the best medicine that anybody could have given him, to do a 20-kilometer race to feel better.
Well, let's just update you on the situation. In the finish at the moment, we've got Ekhoff, Rojkov and Poiré, the top three, just separated by 13 seconds. After the second shoot, just trying to bring up, computer not playing ball at the moment. We'll try and click that up to see. Here we go, Rojkov, Ekhoff, Poiré. So the order slightly changed. Carl-Johan Bergman, he's finished. Halvard Hannevold has put in a good run. He's in 5th place as he went through the last shoot. So Hannevold has got 8 or 9 seconds to make up if he wants to get into the top 4. Bjorn Ferry, now, can he do what Bergman of Sweden has done and shoot clear today?
And in alongside him was Frode Andersen, who only missed 1. So Andersen has missed a grand total of 1 target to date. So Frode will move and move rapidly out there the next 3.3 Ks.
Well, the sprint favours the style and the skills of Frode Andersen, as it does the faster skiers, because of the relatively small shooting penalty, just 150 metres extra for every shot missed. Ferry goes onto the loop at 18:47, Mike. He would have been pretty quick. Andersen even faster, 18:22. That would have seen him into the top 2 positions. But Andersen has still got that loop to complete. Oh, it's very quick indeed. He's come out in 5th and he's got a chase on. Surely he's going to go ahead of Bergman. And there's a chance even that he can catch Hannevold and Poiré. The race is on. This is the best opportunity that Andersen's had of finishing in the top 3. Don't worry, that was a replay of earlier on. And it was such a close-up that we didn't get a chance to see what the reason was. But we suspect that he got the ski tip caught in the timing device on the right-hand side of the course. He's gone down. It's cost him 5 or 6 seconds. That would be a shame if it kept him off the podium.
Well, he's 10.8 seconds down. I think that Frode has a great chance today, possibly even of winning this one. He has to move some. The tracks are a little bit slower than earlier.
I'm not sure he's on that sort of form. 26:12, the time that Andersen is after, as Hannevold charges towards the line, looking to go ahead of Sweden's Bergman. 26:42. He's got 10 seconds to get inside that, and well, he's going to do that quite comfortably. 26:37. Good run from Hannevold. He keeps his consistent runs going. Whether he misses or hits, he always seems to get himself in the top 10. But he's one of those men who always rises to the occasion. He likes the big occasion, the Olympics and the World Championships. And he's quicker than anyone else when it comes to getting those ski protectors on the ski.
He is. He said before Christmas last year he had 2 podium positions, and that's what he's trying to achieve this year. So he's well set up for that in the pursuit on Friday. At the moment, at the finish, 24 seconds behind. That places Hannevold pretty well on moving forward in the pursuit.
So we're trying to keep an eye out for Frode Andersen, who's approaching the 8-kilometre marker now.
And that's where he fell last time, remember?
That's exactly where he fell, but he'll certainly be wary this time and go wide of the timing device. There is Zemlia. Nice shooting.
And a nice time. Oh,
what a shame. What a shame.
Hit 8 out of 8, missed target 9 and target 10. Was he thinking about it? Graf, sorry, the 2 young Germans. Respectable time as well.
Very good time. Rojkov's 18:21 is not going to be beaten, but a clear shoot from Graf will see him into the top 5. Well, I think that was another case of thinking about the situation and what might be, and he's gone and thrown one wide. What a shame. He would have been inside.
he's giving his young athletes a chance to prove themselves in the earlier groups.
Now here is Frode Andersen coming up to 8 kilometers. As we said earlier, this is where he fell, and it was in a similar situation with the same men, very, very tightly packed, but he's moved over to the left-hand side of the course and trying to find his way through. Well, when you are as fast as Andersen, that's always going to be a problem. He's 9.9 seconds off the lead. He's gone from 6th up to 3rd. And Andersen now chasing Rojkov, who's 51. 4 seconds between them. I think 2nd is on the cards for Andersen. But can he catch Stian Ekhoff? He's going to have to gain another 4 seconds if he wants to do that. It's possible, but he's running out of time. 2 kilometers to go, 10 seconds to gain.
Oh, he looked tired, Patrick. I've seen Frode fighting through fatigue so many times. When he has a chance to make the podium, as he has today, he's on it already with 2 Ks to go, but when he digs deep, he can dig deeper than most.
Well, I tell you what, the leading man at the moment, Stian Ekhoff of Norway, if you were to ask him who do you not want chasing you in the last 2 kilometers, he would name Frode Andersen, Lars Berger and Ole Einar Bjorndalen. And as Andersen is the only one of those 3 who's here today, he will be as nervous as anything in the finish line. He will be glued to the screens. Can't see him from where we are, but he will be absolutely.
But just the uphill image there, Patrick, it didn't to me look as if Frode Andersen has the power to take the 1st place, possibly the 2nd. You may well beat Rojkov, but I can't see him beating Ekhoff.
Well, between the range and that last split time, Mike, he's only 9 seconds down. He's already gained a couple of seconds on Ekhoff. He's gained a lot of time on Sergei Rojkov, as we see the finish of Ivan Sherazov, who had such a good outing in Holmenkollen. Now, have you changed your mind, Mike? Because there is a man on a mission. He has blasted past the rest of the field. Entering the stadium area now, Andersen looking for his 1st win for 2 seasons. He looks very determined indeed. He knows exactly what's at stake here. Gredler comes across the line, 26.58. He's in 9th position, but he's going to be pushed down a 10th, whatever happens, because Andersen is on the charge.
Come on, Frode. Let's hope he can do it. He really believes he can. But is he running out of distance?
9 seconds to gain on Stian Ekhoff. We think it's a very tough task indeed. Sergei Rojkov in 2nd place, 4.4 seconds ahead of Andersen at 8 kilometers. We don't think he's safe at all, and I think Rojkov will be handing that silver medal to this man here, Frode Andersen. He has shot 9 out of 10 today, which is exceptionally good for him. Well, if he gets the shooting right, he is always going to be in contention. He is so quick, and he's one of those that will respond to the situation. He will dig as deep as is possible, and he looks to be going very well. You say the Norwegian skis have been waxed well today, Mike. I think you must be absolutely right, because we saw him going past the others on downhill sections. He is flying. 25, 58, 59, 60. 12 seconds. Ekhoff, I think, is safe. He's got another 150 meters to go. Ekhoff's going to survive in 1st place, but Rojkov at 26.23 is in. Welcome back to Ostersund. There is the new order of the leaders. With the 10 kilometers completed, we're only halfway through the field, so things could change, but Ekhoff, Andersen and Rojkov all look to be going very well indeed. It's going to be tough to find a challenger from the 2nd half of the start sheet. Andersen, 1 penalty, and he's still got himself up into 2nd place. Ekhoff, though, for me, Mike, has been the surprise of the day. This is the best performance we've ever seen from him.
It is a brilliant performance to shoot the perfect and also to ski. He certainly skied the fastest last 3.3 Ks, but Frode Andersen overall, I think the fastest time. He's missed 1, although only 3 seconds ahead of Poiré, who also missed 1.
And Poiré down in 4th position today. There's a chance that he'll keep his run of top 5 results going. Hasn't been outside the top 5 so far this year. And Poiré only 13 seconds off the lead, so he'll be a big challenger for the pursuit But what about Sven Fischer, Mike? 3 misses. He's down in 19th at the moment, 124 down. Is he going to win a 3rd pursuit for the season?
Oh, that's a long way to pull back. Well, he did start behind Bjørn Dalen, 1 minute 35, and he went on to win. But remember, on that day, Bjørn Dalen had 1 minute and 2 seconds lead on anybody else. So effectively, he was only 35 seconds behind 2nd place. That would be, even for Sven on great form, that would be very hard for him on Friday to come through and win the next pursuit. Olofsson, good to see Erik Olofsson, lives just 25 kilometres down the road from Östersund. Great sporting family. Said he's had problems with his shooting, he can't quite. He was a former cross-country skier, and typically when they cross over to biathlon, it's so hard for them to change from racing to then trying to calm the mind and transform themselves into a very relaxed human being rather than the race animal as you are when you're out on the track.
Graf of Germany just coming in towards the finish, 27.32. We saw his final shoot. He was in a position of going for the top 5, but he's had to settle for 18th at the moment, 121 down. He's taken some big scalps, though, the likes of Chepikov and Fischer down in 19th and 20th. That will certainly boost his morale for the next couple of weeks. He seems happy enough with that, but he'll live to regret that missed shot, because he could so easily have been in the top 5 today. From one German to another, Alexander Wulff hasn't really fulfilled his potential as yet.
Well, that was his trademark. He is fast, and when he puts it together, it's effective.
Well, it was certainly effective in Lahti in 2003 when he won his first and only win in a World Cup race. But still, Wulff hasn't really been gained the confidence of the German coaching teams. And I think that's probably had a large part to do with the fact that he hasn't progressed as quickly as we thought he would. Now, Gribeau of France was good on the prone, but misses that first standing. His chances of joining the elite have gone.
Still respectable, and for the first time ever, we had 3 Frenchmen in the top 15 last Saturday in this same race, the 10 kilometre. I've been waiting to see Peter Sendel. I think Peter can put in, he has to. When he's under pressure, Peter, to perform, he can bring some magic out, so let's just hope he can do that today.
Well, he's got to produce the results here in Östersund in some race, otherwise I don't think we're going to see him on the World Cup Tour ever again, and he thinks the same as well. Well, he looks very, very focused.
Oh, that is so sad.
And expensive, and very expensive. That could signify the end of a long, long career from Peter Sendel. He's come so close on many occasions, never won a World Cup, but when he's on his best form, he is competition for anyone on the start list. But Peter cannot afford in his current state to miss targets, and he has missed one in the first prone.
Great to see Schlesinger. He's sometimes shows his worth, and he has. I believe this man is going to be one of the big names in the next 2 or 3 years from the Czech Republic. Dostal and Drachev in the background. Drachev hasn't had the best start. Maybe his years are beginning to hold him back a little bit. He's been around on the World Cup Tour since 1987. Had a few years off and then came back again. But he's the ultimate fighter, Drachev, over so many years. I wouldn't write him off.
Good start from Alexei Idorov, the penultimate starter here in Ostersund. Started 1:15. Only Roman Prima of Ukraine starts after him, and that's a promising start. Idorov has won before, 2 World Cup wins to his name. No points on the World Cup, though, this year. And the man from Minsk would dearly love to finish in the top 20, and that's not a bad start. But as you can see, the ski time is very, very much slower than the best. So he's got some work to do in the closing stages, but if he can stay clear, he's got a chance. Good run from Issa of Japan, 24th position at the moment, and World Cup points possibly coming his way. Well, he's got to survive another 40 finishes before he can confirm that. I think it's unlikely, but we'll have to wait and see. When you've got, well, I was going to say men like Roning out on the course, who's a youngster the Norwegians are very excited about. I don't think they'll be too pleased with that performance, Mike. 4 misses out of 5.
Well, we know for sure this man is a big star. The Norwegians put a lot of hope and faith in his future. I think he's just felt the pressure of a World Cup race. They've taken him from Europa Cup races, from club races, and it's a big deal. You're racing alongside the best in the world, and it really has melted him today.
I think that's fair enough. I think you've got to give people at least a season's worth of experience on the World Cup before you can make any assessment of how good they really are, because the pressure will show in the early days. Well, no change at the top of the order list. All these men have finished. Eckhoff, Anderson, Rojkov, the top 3. Poiré, yet again, a consistent result despite 1 miss. And Halvard Hannibal delighted with his run. Rojkov lying in 3rd at the moment. One of the best runs we've seen from the Russian for a while. He doesn't want to be overtaken by the likes of Kruglov and Sherazov. Anderson, despite a fall, has moved himself up into 2nd place. And Mike, your opinion, had he not fallen, do you think he would have won this one?
Do you know, when you fall like that, you're focused on your technique, you're focused on what you want to do best, and something trips you up. It really tenses your body, certainly for the next 1 kilometre, and the anger of actually making that happen. And he may well have caught this man had that not happened.
Well, Anderson's misfortune is Stian Eckhoff's fortune, because he looks as though he's heading for his first ever World Cup win here in Sweden. So Eckhoff, fingers crossed for him. He's got to survive the remaining 40 challengers who are still out on the course. But from what we've seen, Mike, there is no one after the first shoot who looks as though they're going to challenge, but who knows, there may be a few remarkable results. We also think the snow is getting slower. The time's getting slower and slower as the snow breaks up. It's getting dirty, it's getting soft and powdery, or sugary, I should say, on the uphill sections and the corners. And so I think Eckhoff has had the best of both worlds today.
Well, I was hoping Peter Sandel was going to come through from a start number of 112, but he missed one. It's 50 seconds behind after the range, after the prone, so it doesn't look likely for Peter Sandel to come through, sadly.
Raymond of Australia, Cameron Morton, the other Australian on the course today, and outside the top 70 positions. Is he going to come in ahead of Peter Moisey? Yes, he is, quite comfortably ahead of Moisey, who's not shot too badly today, but Moisey's skiing still. Oh, Mark Raymond, not a good way to finish. The Australian team actually had their championships back in August, the 6th and 7th of August. Back home, down under. Well, no real threat coming from the latter starters, and a chance for us, Mike, to talk about Bjorndalen once again, who's gone south to Ramsau to race in the cross-country World Cup, trying to qualify for the World Championships. What difference in the training? I come from a cross-country background, you're from biathlon. Nowadays, where do you see the differences in their training?
Well, more and more the cross-country are introducing much shorter races. So team sprints, individual sprints. So they are concentrating quite a bit more on the shorter distances. They also reach out to 50k, so they're beginning to almost split up into 2 different types of racers, the sprinters and the 30ks, the 50-kilometer athletes. So you're not getting the wide band as we used to have of cross-country skier, where in biathlon it's 10 kilometers for men, 12.5, 15 and 20 kilometers. It's a standard distance. So you need big bulk hours in the summer, as the cross-country skiers do, but without the specialization of the speed work, the extreme short sprint work.
But there is no doubt that all this sprinting is making the cross-country skiers much stronger. And over distances like 10 and 15 kilometers, they are considerably quicker than they were 2 to 3 years ago. And I think Bjorndalen found that himself when he went up to Kuusamo to race in the north of Finland. I remember him saying to one of the Norwegian reporters that he couldn't believe how quick the best were, the likes of Vincent Vito, who won on that day. And I think he's going to get a bit of surprise, but it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on against the best world cross-country skiers in the world when he races this coming weekend, in fact, in the 30-kilometer in Ramsau.
Absolutely. Interestingly, as Wolf finishes there in 18th place, that is respectable from a late start position. But interestingly, Ole Einar Bjorndalen was saying that he was watching the cross-country races on Saturday after he did his biathlon race, and he said he was looking at them to pick up some tips on technique. Well, for the last 4 years, the cross-country world have been looking at Ole Einar Bjorndalen as the best technical skier on the planet. So quite interesting, where he's always looking at other people, looking at ideas to make himself better.
Absolutely. Getting to the top, as Bill Gock said, is easy. Staying there is just about impossible. And I think that holds true still 20 years after Koch was at the top of the world.
Indeed.
Now, Grebot of France coming in after his run. A shame about that one missed target, and it has cost him a place in the top 30. Sherazov lying in 30th position, the last place that gets a World Cup point, ahead of Grebot.
Big day for Norway, with Ekhoff leading, Anderson second, and the Russian Roshkov in third place. Unlikely that either of those three will be knocked off their podium position. Not even Bjornstad can do that after missing one in his prone position, the lying down position, and he's also missed one in the stand. His inexperience sadly showing through, but can he get the last shot? Well, he didn't take the last one, as you can see it. He took the fourth last, and maybe that helped his focus.
Now, Alexei Idorov, the last man who really does have a chance of upsetting the top 10, but ski time not quite as quick as when we saw him at his best 5 or 6 years ago.
Without a doubt, it will help. You need your doctor to check your levels of overtraining, let's say. You need expertise, your masseurs, and you do need money to bring all that in. So it does help. But no, I think you're right. The system is the bottom line, the intelligent training and the belief in your country and yourself that does lift you up.
Well, Roning certainly has that in skiing for Norway. 2:54 behind the best today, but 5 penalty loops. So, well, 750 meters added to his distance skied. And I think you can take 2 minutes off. So effectively, he's only 45 seconds or so away from the best performances. So I think we'll see more of Roning as the season goes on. Question is, how many chances will he get to race at World Cup level? He hasn't done himself too much good today with those 4 misses on that second shoot.
Finland bringing in some new athletes. Kantanen just crossed the line there, 81st place.
There's the race leader and almost certain winner now, Stian Ekhoff. Yeah, that's the smile of a winner. He knows it. Absolutely knows it. What a big occasion. Your first ever World Cup win. Not something that many men get to experience. But for Stian Ekhoff, it has happened today in Östersund, Sweden. And he'll remember this for a very long time. And in particular, he'll be thanking Frode Andersen for taking a fall with at 4.7 kilometers. Andersen missing out by just a few seconds. Eckhoff, I think, though, was still too strong over that last loop. A brilliant finish from Eckhoff. Outskied Rojkov, who he was chasing, and he also outskied Raphael Poiré over the last 3 kilometres. Not something very many do.
No, not at all. And Eckhoff grabbed his opportunity, saw the possibility of winning for his first time ever, and did not let that go. But Eckhoff, I remember when he first came on the World Cup circuit, they said he had the most amazing talent, but the occasion was too big for him in the early days, and they said, well, as long as we give him a map to show him the course and where to go. He sometimes was too focused and forgot where he was going, but that's all in the past.
Well, I've seen people get lost on races before. In fact, going back to your days of skiing, one Andrew Wiley used to be quite good at going the wrong way. Now, Philipp Schulman of Russia. That was a bad fall, and the worst possible place to fall at the bottom of the downhill section. He's then got an uphill section. He would have been in the tuck position going up here had he managed to negotiate that corner. That has cost him a full 30 seconds and almost certainly cost him a place in the top 30 today. So what a disastrous way to finish your race. Unlucky, really, because he's had the worst of the snow conditions, and as it's got softer and softer, it's become harder and harder to negotiate.
Indeed, the corners where they've had to put water down to hold the man-made, we'll see it there, it's very icy. He took it just a little bit too tight on the inside, and now he needs to check his rifle out. He landed on the butt, the wooden part of the rifle.
Has the butt hook disappeared?
I think it may well have, and it can affect the bedding of the barrel into the wood. So he really has to get his, or check that out himself, or get an expert to have a look at it.
Debailly, one of the less-known Frenchmen, just coming in, 3 misses today, so another minute added to the time at the least. 3 or 5, he would have been a minute and a half, about the closest he could get to the leaders, so a bit of ski time to improve on there.
Just looking further down, Patrick, Robin Clegg, who we'd mentioned was top 15 after the lying down shoot, went on to miss 3 in the standing, and that's put him down into 51st place, although only 2 minutes 19 behind. So on Friday in the pursuit he can move forward.
A lot of the athletes in the finish area just munching on carbohydrate bars at the moment. That's something that we've discussed, Mike, is the food, the intake, the calorie intake that they require. And what's quite difficult, always on the road, many of the top teams take their own food with them because they know that certain foods suit them.
Indeed they do, and have someone, possibly a coach or the assistant coach, putting like the Italians usually do, have their spaghetti on and the high carbohydrate foods. But generally the options of hotels here are Group A, B and C, and generally they are providing very good food for all of the World Cup athletes.
Now, last year we had the Atkins diet, which was not recommended for athletes at all. One of the trends going around at the moment is to eat for your blood. So your blood type determines what sort of diet you should be taking in. Now, if you're O type, you apparently originate from Africa, you should be eating predominantly meats, high protein diet. If you're A-type blood, you should be eating a European Mediterranean sort of diet. Do the athletes take any notice of that, or is that something that they haven't got into yet?
Well, I don't know as much about that as you. I've just heard rumours of that, but I wonder, I mean, I'm sure they tap into all these fads, if you like, this recent way of thinking. That's a good result there from the Austrian Pinter.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll look into diets as the season goes on, because I'm sure there are loads of racers out there, biathletes and cross-country skiers, who'd be interested to know exactly what you should be eating. So we'll task Mike with doing some research, finding out what the best diets are, and we'll let you know what the Italians, what the Norwegians tend to consume when they're away on tour. NRK very keen to get hold of Stian Eckhoff, Hannavold and Frode Andersen, who've all put in good races today, but Stian Eckhoff, the best of the lot. He's won his first World Cup. He's been on the podium before on 2 occasions, but he's gone 2 steps better today with a win here in Östersund.
I was expecting some great things from Team Italy this year, Patrick, the year before the Olympic Games in Torino or Turin. but as yet, they're not shining through.
Well, they're struggling in the cross-country as well. I think they've got a bit of a downturn, and I hear that Stefania Belmondo is thinking of coming back to bolster the Italian women's cross-country team. That really would be an interesting move, but she's pregnant at the moment, doesn't give birth till March, so she won't start training till March, April. Peter Sendel, Mike, 2 misses, and he's going to be outside the top 60. That's not going to impress the likes of Frank Ulrich, who has to make the decision as to whether Peter Sendel is on the tour next year. I think halfway through this World Cup, he's going to decide that's the end. I think he may retire before he's pushed.
Well, Peter won't be racing in the, as you said, in the pursuit. He won't also be racing in the mass start, so this is his last race in Östersund.
Well, that could be the last we ever see of him. Let's hope not, because he's been a great servant to German biathlon throughout the years. Maybe he'll get one of the places down in Ruhpolding, where he often produces good runs. And as you say, when they put pressure on him and say, you need a top 10, otherwise you're out, then he does tend to do it. He needs that extra little bit of incentive.
I hope, and I really, really hope that we'll see Peter Sendel back after Christmas in much, much better form. There's others here today not starting. None of the British lads, sadly, will start again in Östersund. They're not in the world top 30 and in ranking, so they won't be doing the mass start on Sunday. Tom Clements was 88, 3 minutes 40 behind, with Mark Walker and Joe Brooks 103rd and 104th, 5 minutes 12 and 5 minutes 16 behind, missing 4 targets. Aderov, that's his 10-kilometre finished. Were it not for that last target and the standing missed, he would be in the top 25. Aderov 48th.
Janis Vodicar there from the IBU, head of competition, just congratulating Stian Ekhoff. So it's pretty much official now that Ekhoff has secured the win here in Östersund. And I think we could see a little bit more of him this season. The ski time, Mike, is what's really impressed me. He's always going to shoot clear occasionally, but he has skied so quickly over the last 5 kilometres, of this race, that he's shown himself to be a match for the Flores and Bjorn Dahlens on any occasion.
Indeed he has. Ekhoff, again, he's been on the World Cup circuit, what, 6 years now, and it's only now that he's building this incredible strength and depth where he is able to match anybody on the skis. Probably 3rd fastest ski time overall today, because he did shoot the perfect 0-0.
Well, he got 8th, a 10th and a 12th in Holmenkollen a week ago. He started a load better here in Östersund with a win in the first sprint event of the weekend. So just a couple of the stragglers to come in across the line, but it's pretty much over here in Östersund. Good day's racing. Thanks for staying with us. Hope you've enjoyed the event. Norway really the form team, with 1st and 2nd place with Ekhoff and Andersen, and then Hannevold down in 5th.